All right, YouTubers, this is Christine with Gals and Guns, and I'm doing an interview with someone that had an accident with a gun. And it's one of those accidents that you hear about, but you never really see it. And I wanted her to tell her story. And it kind of explains why it's really important to get some handgun training if you are not sure what you're doing, especially if you're going to use a semi-automatic. So my guest today is going to show you exactly how she held the gun, what she did, what it did to her, and in the end, what it ended up costing her.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, can you take the gun and go ahead and I'll show you the gun is clear. We don't want to point it towards her. But it's clear. No magazine. So she's going to use it for demonstration purposes.
Okay, well, on the day I had just purchased a Taurus TCP 380. And I had never fired the gun, so I decided I was going to go ahead and fire it that day just to see how it felt. When I bought the gun, it felt right in my hand, but I didn't try it out before I bought it. So when I first fired it, the recoil scared me. I wasn't expecting it. So on the second time that I went to fire the gun, I held it like this to steady it, and when I fired it, the slide went straight down through my thumb, and it happened so fast that I was kind of shocked because I really didn't understand I just saw blood coming out of my thumb. I handed the gun off to someone. I put the gun down, and I handed it to my sister and asked her to hold it for me. And I went inside because I didn't think maybe it was that bad, but when I got inside, I went to wash it off. You could actually see the bone. It came right down through, right down through in here. I can't even remember. It was right down in here. And the bone was there. And so we went ahead, we wrapped it. We went to the emergency room. Now, when I got to the emergency room, they had to clean it all out, and they checked it all out to make sure that it didn't chip the bone. Once I got through with the examination, they let me know that it did cut the tendon, and I would probably have to see an orthopedic specialist. I did not have insurance, so this is going to be a self-pay. Just for the emergency room visit with the doctors, the x-rays, it was $1,285. I decided that since it's my left hand, I wouldn't go to an orthopedic specialist. It's been September, October, November, December, January, about 4 months. I'm starting to get some movement in my thumb again. At first, I couldn't move it at all. I do have some movement, and if I try to push it to go further down, it's like you get like a numbing sensation in here. It was a hard lesson to learn. I wish I would have took a gun safety class and learned how to properly hold a gun. I wish I would have gone somewhere where I could have tested a gun out before I bought it. I'll be honest, when I bought my TCP 380, I bought it because it was pink and I thought it looked cute. This is a serious weapon. Don't go for cute. You want to go for efficiency, but safety is the first thing I would recommend to everybody. If I would have took the class on proper, usage on a weapon, this might not have happened. We talked to somebody at the gun shop because I did get rid of the gun. I decided it's not anything I wanted to fire. And I will let you know I paid $285 for the gun, and I got a fraction of what I paid for it. At that point, I really didn't care because I just didn't want the gun anymore, because now that gun was $285 plus $1,285 for my emergency room bill. The guy at the gun shop told us that, thank goodness I did not lose my thumb, because he actually had a man who fired his gun and it took his whole thumb off. So yes, I am thankful I have my thumb, but I would have been more thankful if I would have took the class and learned the proper handling of a weapon. So I would recommend to anybody, if this is your first time ever owning a gun or you're thinking about buying a gun, take the class. Trust me, what you pay for the class is going to save you a lot of money in the long run if you were to get injured. And this here, it doesn't, somebody say, well, you just had a few stitches. It could have been the whole thumb, but I do have a thumb that is not completely usable.
Right.
The tendon was cut, and they showed everything to my sister in the emergency room. They showed her exactly what was cut and what would it take to repair it. It was a lesson to be learned. And I just feel that, people really should learn handgun safety. That is the most important thing I can stress.
Right. And one of the things I want to point out is, especially when it comes to these smaller guns, because of the fact that there is very little room for error. Your hand can only go in certain places. And to show the view from the other side, what our guest here did is she placed her hand on top here. So when the slide racked back, the slide tore into this portion of her hand. Okay? Now, had she learned proper handgun techniques, she would have known that that hand never goes above that line, and she would have known that you use that hand to hold that thumb down. And there are other techniques for holding a gun, but with the proper instruction, she would have learned that you don't ever place your hand in the area up there. Okay? So I just wanted to give an example because I'm always talking about handgun safety. So I wanted you to hear it from someone that it actually happened to, on why you have to be careful and why it's important to have proper handgun lessons on basic handgun skills. But not just that. She made a very good point. Because the gun was small and pink, it was attractive. Okay? And I am not going to fault her for that, because a lot of women choose a gun for that exact same reason. Instead of choosing a gun by what their needs are, they aren't sold like that. When they go into gun stores, they are not approached in a manner of, what are you using this gun for? Were you ever asked what you were going to use that gun for?
No, I never was.
Never asked what she was going to use that gun for. So was it home defense? Was it self-defense? Was it concealed carry? No. The first thing that came out was the pink gun. So the thing is, on the TCP, the Taurus TCP 738, it is polymer. It's a 380.
380, right.
Right. But it was a polymer make. So when you have a small, light gun in a caliber that is close to a 9mm, I know it's not a 9mm, but it's close to a 9mm, that recoil has to go somewhere. And since there's no weight in the gun, that recoil gets distributed to your hands. And again, if you don't have proper holding techniques, then you're going to feel it all the more. Okay? So just another thing to keep in mind. Don't buy a gun by the color or by the size. Try to get a handgun selection course if you can somewhere. Some ranges even offer to let you rent different guns. Some gun stores. There's none in our particular area, so I can't fault our guest again for that. The only way around here to be able to test a gun before you buy it is to find an instructor that will allow you to do a handgun selection course. The ranges around here, because of city ordinances, not the ranges, the stores around here, because of city ordinances, do not offer that. So, again, keep in mind basic handgun skills and handgun selection. Okay? Know what you're planning on using that gun for before you purchase that gun.
And for those of you who would like to maybe have a picture of what it looked like when it first happened, when it was all swollen with the stitches and everything in it, I did provide a picture for that as well.
Right, and that picture can be found at www.gals-in-guns.com. Okay? All right. I thank you for listening, and I hope that it will help you in the future to prevent you from having an accident.